Welcome to Distress to Joyful, Bailey's Way. I'm your host, Bailey Raber, here to enlighten you and the rest of the world about one of the most misunderstood mental health disorders out there, bipolar disorder. In each episode, we'll learn more about my personal journey with bipolar II disorder, how I've struggled with it, and how I've learned to overcome those struggles. Together, we'll laugh, we'll cry, and most importantly, we'll have fun. You'll leave each episode feeling hopeful and stocked full of useful information on how you can better yourself and the world around you. Hello, friends. So, y'all, I have done some more updates to the website, and I really think you're going to like what I did. So organizing is one of my favorite things to do, so I have taken the time to reorganize the website to make it easier for you to find the things that you are looking for. So whether you're interested in finding the show notes for a specific episode, looking to check out my Etsy shop, or if you want to find that article I wrote about a recent trip, I've made finding all of these things so much easier for you. So head on over to whatisheybales.doing.com. That's whatisheybales doing.com to go and see the updates for yourself. So I hope that you enjoy them. If not, if you are confused, if you think I could do some more improvement, dude, just go to the contact page and send me a message. Like, I am all about improvement, and I need to know from you if there's something else that I could do that would be better. So let me know, please. Also, I have had the pleasure of being interviewed on 3 more podcasts recently. Yes, it's been so much fun. So one of these 3 episodes has already been released, and the other 2 should be coming out pretty soon. So you can find all of these episodes on my website on the press page. Yes. So I've added that where you can also read any articles that were written about me and the podcast as well, which is super fun. So head on over to the website and you'll see this is one of the changes I did recently, and I hope that you'll enjoy it. Otherwise, you can find the link to this new episode in the show notes. And y'all, I have had such a blast connecting with other podcasters and being able to talk about my story with them. It's really been such a joy to get to talk to another person when recording a podcast episode instead of just, talking to myself in a closet. The most recent episode that I've been on that has already been released, it is called the Platinum Mask Podcast, and the host of the show, Grayson Mask, interviewed me, and y'all, that is a good episode. First of all, Grayson, shout out to you for doing all of your homework. Guys, he did so much research on the podcast and my blog and my Etsy shop. And the questions that he asked in this interview were curated just for me. And I felt so fucking special. But also, it was just really cool because I wasn't just answering generic questions. He asked some very thoughtful and, he was curious. He didn't just ask these questions to ask these questions. He asked them out of pure curiosity. And it was just really cool to just feel like, wow, somebody really cares that much that they want to know more. Also, another reason you should check out this episode is because I have actually released some content on his episode that have never been mentioned before on any of my episodes. So, yeah, that's kind of, I wouldn't say important, but if you're curious, you might want to go find out. So again, that podcast is called the Platinum Mask Podcast with Grayson Mask. And the episode is called Discussing Bipolar Disorder with Bailey Raber. Hello, that's me. You can find this podcast on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. He's all over the place, and he's really good. So you should definitely check it out. All right, let's go ahead and move into today's episode. So this episode is coming straight from the heart. meaning that there will be show notes, but they won't be as extensive and full of links as they usually are. So I'm just setting the expectations here in case you're one of my avid show note readers. First of all, shout out to you. Thank you for noticing the hard work. But also, just so you're aware, there's going to be some things in there. It's just going to be a lot more condensed than normal. Let's go ahead and move into how the weather affects my moods. So over the past couple of years, I have been continuing to work on myself and to strengthen my own awareness, or my own self-awareness, And as I've been doing this, I've begun to notice how the weather affects my moods and my motivation. For example, when it is sunny and warm outside, and when I say warm, I mean like 75 and above. That's warm for me in Houston. That might not be warm for other people, but that's definitely warm for me. So when it's sunny and warm, y'all, I am feeling energized. I am motivated. I want to do shit. I want to be outside. I want to exercise. I want to sit at my sewing machine for 5 hours straight. Like, I am just ready to go. I'm always feeling happy. Not always. Let me just stop that. Most of the time, I'm feeling happy and energized and all of these really good emotions. That's usually what this kind of weather will do for me. And it's my favorite. I love it so much. Like, spring and summer are my favorite seasons of the year because of the sun and the warmth and being outside and daylight saving so that sun doesn't set till like 8 o'clock at night. And it's my favorite. And maybe that has something to do with me being a redhead and having a vitamin D deficiency. So maybe that's why I like the sun so much. Who knows? But guys, there are a lot of studies and research that shows that spending time getting natural vitamin D from the sun is actually really, really important for your mental health. So I'm going to see if I can find a link. So I'm just contradicting myself right there because I just said there weren't going to be that many links in the show notes. But I'm going to see if I can find an article that kind of goes a little bit more into depth about that, because I do know I've read multiple different places about the sun and natural vitamin D being good for your overall mental health. So when it's cold outside, let's talk about how my mood is when it's cold outside and overcast or cloudy. So that is like the exact opposite of what I just mentioned with the whole sunny and warm. When it's cold and gloomy, I usually don't want to do anything. It's hard for me to get out of bed. It's hard for me to get moving. I'm cold. I don't want to do shit. I don't want to have to put on more layers. I also don't want to turn on the heater because I'm cheap and I don't like paying that on my electric bill. So it's a bunch of things. And then just, I don't know, just being cold, I really don't enjoy it that much. And a lot of it is probably because in Houston, if any of y'all listening live in the Houston area, first shout out to you. But Houston is such an up and down with our weather. Like, it'll be cold one day and then hot the next, and then cold for 3 days and then hot for 5. And then it just jumps around so much that it's really, really difficult for us to get used to the cold down here. I mean, every Houstonian, we all fucking hate the cold because we can't get used to it. And I feel like if I moved elsewhere and actually had a winter season, I might look at it differently, or it might affect me differently. But over the last couple years, I've noticed that when it gets cold out, when it first starts getting cold, like those first initial, like that first day or the first initial 2 days of it being cold, I just don't want to do shit. I don't want to move. I don't want to use my brain. I just want to snuggle up on the couch and watch some TV or something. That's like literally all I want to do. But what's worse is when it gets rainy outside. Now, when it's rainy outside, that just puts me in such a Debbie Downer mood half the time. Not even half the time, probably more than that. I do not enjoy the rain at all. I don't like being wet. When it's rainy, I can't play outside. I mean, I can play outside, but I'd have to play in the rain. But like I just said, I don't like getting wet. I'm like a freaking cat. So I'm not here for it. But on the contrary, rainy days, sometimes I can be productive. It's super strange. And I think it also depends on the temperature outside. Because God forbid, if it is rainy and cold, you already know what I'm doing. I'm sitting on the couch watching Netflix. That's what I'm doing all day, if I can. Or I'm at work and then I'm just trying to power through the day to go home and watch Netflix. That's it. But if it's rainy and probably like in the mid 60s and above, let's say mid 60s and above, sometimes I will be productive only because I know that, while it's rainy outside, I can't go outside and play. So sometimes my mindset will be, you know what? Today's a crappy day outside. What can I do inside that I'm not going to want to do when it's pretty outside? Because when it's pretty outside, I want to go for a run. I want to go for a bike ride. I want Monish and I to go have lunch on a patio somewhere. Like, that's what I want to do. I just want to be outside when it's sunny and warm and a beautiful day. So if it's rainy today and tomorrow I know it's going to be a beautiful sunny day, sometimes I'll look at it and say, you know what? I'm going to sit at my sewing machine and bust a bunch of shit out right now because I know tomorrow I'm not going to want to do it because tomorrow I'm just going to want to play outside or go to the pool or go to the beach or whatever the case might be. So it's interesting. Like, I've been paying more and more attention to these things, and it's really, really interesting to me how the weather affects my mood like this. But you know what? It's not just me that this happens to. It's really, really not. First of all, I know this to be true because my coworkers will mention that they're in similar moods as me. Like when it's gloomy outside or cold, we'll all say something about like, it's just hard to get moving. I'm not motivated. I'm tired, blah, blah, blah. But when it's sunny outside, none of us really complain about any of those things. Like, it's just kind of funny to me. But granted, we all have this massive view of the city and a bunch of natural lighting, bunch of windows. So the outside weather really does affect us in our office specifically. But speaking of weather affecting moods, there is something that is called SAD. I believe it stands for Seasonal Anxiety and Depressive Disorder. Let me check, though, because I feel like I just said that wrong. And I have Google in front of me, and so Google's going to tell me. Oh, okay. So I just found an article on the National Institute of Mental Health. And SAD, I was wrong. Oh, wow. I was wrong. SAD stands for Seasonal Affective Disorder. I'm going to read these first couple of paragraphs real quick because this is actually really interesting. So many people go through short periods of time where they feel sad or not like their usual selves. Sometimes these mood changes begin and end when the seasons change. People may start to feel down when the days get shorter in the fall and winter, also called the winter blues. Oh my God, hold up. I'm going to stop reading for a second. The winter blues. Yes, that is a beautiful way to describe how I feel when it gets cold outside. Yes. That's the word I was looking for. Guys, I should have researched this ahead of time. I apologize. But you know what? We found it now, and we're going to keep going because this is some good shit. Okay, it says, then they begin to feel better in the spring with longer daylight hours. In some cases, these mood changes are more serious and can affect how a person feels, thinks, and handles daily activities. If you have noticed significant changes in your mood and behavior whenever the seasons change, you may be suffering from seasonal affective disorder, also known as SAD. Hello. And it's a type of depression. So in most cases, SAD symptoms start in the late fall or early winter and go away during the spring and summer. This is known as winter pattern SAD or winter depression. Some people may experience depressive episodes during the spring and summer months. This is called summer pattern SAD or summer depression and is less common. Okay, so first of all, you already know it. This is going in the show notes so you can find the link to this article because it's really fucking good. And I'm going to read a lot more about this and probably will make a second episode following up on this because this is good. But wow. So first of all, that totally validates everything I just said about when it gets cold outside. The winter blues. Oh my God, that is exactly what I feel. I feel the winter blues. And it's not always that way though, because if it's sunny outside and cold, I can get through it. I can have a good day. I can be productive. I can get shit done and I can feel okay. But God forbid it be rainy and gloomy and cold. Those days are just some of my hardest days to get through if I do not have anything exciting planned for that day. So if it's just a regular ass day, if I am just going to work, maybe my workout, and if that's all I really have planned for the day, nothing fun, nothing interesting, nothing out of the ordinary, then yeah, I am most likely going to feel pretty down, unmotivated, not wanting to do anything. But it's really, really good to know that this happens to lots of people. And that's another reason why I wanted to talk about this, you guys, because I know I'm not the only one who feels like this. I know I'm not. And it's very clear after reading this article on the National Institute of Mental Health. Like, it's common. These things are common. When things get more serious, or if you're having trouble doing daily activities on a regular basis during certain times of the year, that is when you may want to go, seek some professional help and find out maybe you are affected by SAD. But I wanted to talk about this because I feel like it's not really spoken about a lot. I mean, there's a lot of things not spoken about. Hello, especially with mental health. That's why I'm here. Is to talk about these things. But SAD, I don't hear that talked about hardly ever. I did hear about it recently because one of my coworkers was saying that he has a friend who has SAD because when it was becoming winter, he was saying that he reached out to that friend because he knows that friend deals with this every winter. That's the thing is if you don't know things like this exist and you've been dealing with this on a regular basis, like every year, if you know that you struggle with depression during the wintertime, but you had no idea that SAD existed and you thought it was just part of your life, then you may never have thought to go get help. Or you might be listening and you have a friend who you've noticed every winter struggles, or every summer, which it's less common, but it happens. They struggle. And if they haven't sought out help, maybe just point them in the direction of this podcast so they can hear for themselves. Who knows? Because if we don't talk about these things and if we don't know that these things exist, you'll go on living your life thinking that this is how it's gonna always be. And I mentioned in a podcast episode previously, God forbid I can't remember which, of course I can't remember which episode to refer you to, but in one of my most recent episodes, I talked about how I literally thought depression was a part of my life. I thought that I was going to feel really fucking shitty and super low every couple of weeks, and that was just part of my life, and that I just had to deal with it. But you know what? When I found out that that's not true, when I found out that I can find a way to better manage it so that my lows aren't so low and don't come around as often, holy shit, I do everything now in my, everything possible to keep those things away. I exercise on a regular basis. I eat healthy. I fill my ears and my eyes and my brain with positive material, positive content. I do things to help keep those things away because I now know that I can. But years ago, I didn't know that. I thought I was going to be stuck in this never-ending loop and this cycle of always feeling so bad every so often. So again, that's why this is here. That's why we're talking about this, because I want you to know that if you are listening and you're like, wow, this sounds really familiar. This sounds like something that I might be dealing with. Go get checked out, dude. Go get help because it's totally worth it. Because when I actually sought out help and started doing the things I needed to do, I saw that things got better and it feels great. It feels great to know that I don't have to feel like super shit every couple of weeks. I deserve to be happy, and so do you. You also deserve to be filled with joy and happiness and to not feel so low all the time. It's going to take a little work, and it's definitely going to take getting some help, but you deserve to take care of yourself. So if you're listening and you're thinking about, maybe I should get a therapist or maybe I should go see someone, I encourage you to do it. You won't regret it. At first you might. I hated my therapist for a while. I hope she never hears this one, but I'm pretty sure she knew that anyways. But in the long run, it has been the best thing I have ever, been through is therapy. And I want you to live your happiest life, so do what you need to do to get there, y'all. It's time for What a Weirdo! Okay, so this segment is here as a way for us to normalize weird habits that we all have, but don't necessarily talk about. And it's also a way to create some wholesome laughter at the end of each episode, because sometimes we discuss super difficult topics, as you guys know. So if you've been tuning into the show regularly, you've likely heard all of my weirdo habits. So now it's time to submit yours. And today we have another submission from Derek B, spelled B-E-E like a bumblebee. Thank you kindly for sending in 2 different weirdo habits. Much love, my friend. You're super appreciated. But Derek B says, I often talk to myself out loud at work, sometimes swearing at my computer/work screen, and the occasional hell yeah when something works well, or thinking out loud/talking through a problem. The thing is, I work in an open office setting and 4 of my coworkers can hear me. Luckily, they all like me well enough and I just get some light ribbing. Okay, so I can definitely 100% relate to this one, Derek B. Way better than the one from last episode. But I do the same. I talk to myself all the time, y'all. Like, I always joke that I need a dog in my house so that I don't sound crazy for just talking to myself, because I do it. I also do it at work too, and I do have 4 coworkers around me as well, so that's really, really funny that we have the same setting. And yeah, my coworkers, they're used to it at this point, but a lot of them do it too. We'll all be talking to ourselves, and sometimes I'm like, are you talking to me? And they're like, no, I'm talking to myself. And I'm like, okay. So I love that. Thank you for sending that in, because I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of y'all listening, maybe you listening right now, who says, yep, that's me. I do that too. What weirdo habits do you have? Send in your submissions by going to whatishaybellsdoing.com/whataweirdo, and you can submit them anonymously. Woohoo! You could also put a nickname like Derek B did, since his was, Not something too off the wall crazy that we're all like, oh my God. But if you have something that's off the wall crazy and you want to share it, dude, please do, because I could probably relate. I'm super relatable in so many weird ways. And so I would love to relate to whatever weird habit that you have. So send it on in. And next episode, you can expect for us to talk about the importance of how you say things and using the correct language, most specifically when talking about mental health. So the title of the upcoming episode is I Am Not Bipolar. I Have Bipolar Disorder. And it's going to be really, really good. I truly think that everybody needs to hear this episode, whether or not you have a mental health disorder, because what I'm going to talk about is so important. It is so fucking important. It's things that my therapist taught me, that I have done research on, and that I try to help everybody understand if they come through my path and say things a certain way, because how you say things and using the correct language is so freaking important, y'all. If you're a Brené Brown fan, you know that to be true because she talks about it all the time. And that's another reason why I also agree that language is important, because I love my girl, Brené Brown. But thank you for listening to the show. Be sure to follow on Instagram at distress2joyful_Bailey's Way. And head on over to the website to check out the show notes from this episode. You can find the links that I mentioned and some other goodies as well. And if you enjoy this podcast, help spread the word by leaving a rating or writing a review. And who knows, I just might read your review on an upcoming episode. Lastly, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with all of the new episode releases. But until next time, take it easy, stay grateful, and be joyful. Bye!